Well, happy 2026, everybody. Yes, it's 2026 now. We've made it through the year of 2025, and we're still going through the return, but I think we're on the downhill slide here. We only got a handful of episodes left, and I feel like this one is very lore heavy. What do you guys think?
Yes, it is. And bringing back characters we had been waiting for. A
Yes.
lot of good stuff in this episode. A lot of good stuff. And again, we're 6 episodes out, man. Like this is
Yep.
where this is where the
Mhm.
rubber meets the road, man.
And I got to open this bad boy up and watch one of the episodes on Blu-ray instead of on streaming, which is nice because when you
Nice.
watch it on
Yep.
Paramount Plus, it tries to start the next episode while you're still listening to the band play their song. And it's like,
Yep.
what are you doing?
Oh no. Hmm.
Yeah. So it
No,
was
always
it
good to
was
have physical media.
and I got this set instead because I didn't need the A to Z one because I have Fire Walk with the Criterion of Fire Walk with me, so I didn't need that added.
Right.
The only thing I would complain about is they don't package the discs very well in this set. Like,
Yeah.
but other than that, awesome. Glad to have it on physical media if I want to do a rewatch. Though,
Oh, when I get the Z to A box set, the one is way out of print. Like I found it like for a steal online. It was used, but it was in perfectly pristine condition. So I'm very glad that I have that because it is, God, it's like $700 or $800 now if you try to buy it. It's insane. I got it for like 125, which is great. But it has actual 4K copies of the pilot and the return episode 8. So it was nice to be able
wow.
to see
That's perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That
awesome.
pilot in particular looks incredibly sharp in 4K because it was shot on film. We've talked about
Right.
throughout this process how cinematic the series was, and when you see it in 4K, that proof's in the pudding, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Though I'll probably give it a rest just for my wife's benefit because she'll be happy when we're done watching this show. But
That's fair.
she was laughing at part of the episode, especially the whole Audrey and Charlie scene. Not to jump ahead, but she was laughing at that whole exchange of conversation.
It's
Well,
definitely a hell of a scene.
I mean, do we want to even start there? I mean, it's the elephant in the room. It is what fans were waiting for so long was to see Audrey, and we're already, like you said, we're in the last 6 episodes, and
Yeah, we're in the
hadn't
last
seen
third of
her,
the series.
and so she was one of the biggest pieces of the original series, and now we're finally seeing her. So, I mean, maybe we just jump right in by starting to talk about Audrey because we get this random scene that we still don't, at this point in the series, understand what's going on. There's nothing about this scene on first blush that indicates that it may not be, what the things might not be what meets the eye, right?
Yeah.
What we see is that she appears to be, she's talking to a man who's claiming to be her husband. They're talking about somebody else who she's saying is her lover, and they're talking about these characters whose names are not characters that we're familiar with.
All right. We have no idea who
the hell's Billy
are.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it is, I think, quite a jarring introduction to one of the biggest characters in Twin Peaks lore.
Well, I mean, we're also in this scene wondering who the hell is Charlie, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, he's not someone we've ever seen before, and not someone who you would have thought Audrey Horne would have ended up with.
Right.
So we're all we're all in the dark. And I remember, when this episode dropped, like the chatter online was like, what the hell is going on with Audrey Horne? Like, what was that scene about? What has happened to her? Like, what was that basically?
Yeah.
And I'll say this, like, I think if there's any chink in the armor to the return, for me, it probably is the handling of Audrey. And I don't necessarily hate it, but it's not what I would have wanted to see for her the way it unfolded. I get why it goes down the path it goes. I know that there was friction with her and Lynch, and he was trying to get her involved in it, and he found a way to do so, and that's what we got. So, there's that. But it's definitely for me, even going on the rewatch, it's the weakest part of The Return. But at the same time, I love seeing Audrey so much that it's at least it's engrossing when I'm watching it. But it is definitely for me the weakest part of the entire Return. And it's again, it's almost a nitpick because it's not like it's the worst thing ever, but it's just I wanted more for Audrey because we've talked about ad nauseum how fabulous she is in the first 2 seasons and how important she is in the first 2 seasons, and you know, her having, you know, her own adventures, her own autonomy, you know, and knowing that, you know, Mulholland Drive was basically supposed to be a spinoff for her. So it's like, it's so weird that this is what we get with her, but at the same time, you know, it is what it is. And in the grand scheme of things, you know, she's still a part of the Return, and ultimately that's what made people happy.
Well, I think what's interesting is I was reflecting on this for the first time with this rewatch, was that, and so I'll jump back a little bit, you know, for people who aren't aware. So the understanding is that Lynch had a different role written for Audrey, and there was friction between her and Lynch over the depiction of her character, and so he rewrote something else and worked this in, and so this was not the original plan for Audrey. And what I think is interesting about that I hadn't really thought about before is, you know, that's very similar to the fact that the plans for Audrey in season 2 were completely changed at the last minute, and
True.
new scripts had to be written. And once again, you know, fans were disappointed with her direction. In some ways, people, you know, were unhappy with the way so it's something that has happened before. And here we are again with that. So personally, I didn't have that reaction to this part. What I love about Audrey's story in this season is the mystery. I love that we don't know. I mean, we of course we have our theories, and I think that a lot of people are very settled on a certain kind of a theory. But even that, which I don't want to discuss today, because we'll just, I think, discuss that more when we get to it.
When we get there,
yeah. But I think that what I love about this is that Lynch, just like with the rest of the series, doesn't give us what we're expecting for her character and doesn't explain it. More than a lot of things, her story is the least explained, because leading up to this, it's not like she's been absent. Okay, literally she's been absent, but you know, the fact that their characters are, you know, in relation to Audrey, are moving about throughout the series, and there are implications for all of that. So her presence is there, and then we get this scene that has nothing to do with any of that. There's nothing to do with, like, her, you know, her dad is been in the series up to this point, no reference. Her brother and mother had very, you know, impactful scenes in the series.
Jerry finally got out of the woods.
Yeah, yes, that's true. That's this episode too. Yeah. So anyways, I just find it fascinating that when we do see Audrey, and that it is saved for the 3rd act of season 3, that we get this what the WTF moment, right?
Yeah, it's definitely
and
that.
So there's something to that, and I do, like, we can talk about the rest of her as it plays out, but there's aspects of the story that's coming that I love, and so I'm excited for that.
At the same time, isn't that very Twin Peaks for you to have, like, a scene that has nothing to do with the rest of the episode?
Sure.
Yeah. And what's funny is when I was watching it this morning, and my wife Jessica, she was just on her phone doing whatever, and she hears Sherilyn Finn's voice, and she's like, I know that voice because we're both Gilmore Girls fans.
Oh, yeah.
And she played 2 parts in that show. She was actually, I think, originally considered for one of the main roles of the show. Anyways, and that's what made her look up. And she's like, well, why is she married to that guy? I'm like, well, I don't know. I was like, David Lynch would just be like, whatever you think. I said, he seems like he's a businessman, so maybe it was some kind of a marriage of circumstance between, you know, whatever he does for a living and her father. We don't know. That's just me speculating there. But yeah, is it what you want Audrey to do? Probably not, but I mean, the scene is entertaining because of her
Oh yeah, no, it very
reaction
much
to
is.
Yeah.
her her upset and reaction, and this guy just trying to be calm the whole time.
I mean, they say opposites attract, and man, those two are absolute opposites, man. Like, I mean, if he takes off his coat, he's staying home. We're not going out, right? Like, the whole thing of, like, he's just not an out there kind of guy. He's very introverted, and Audrey is very much not. She never has been, she never will be. So it's very funny how the two of them, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that, it's my favorite thing in The Return or anything. That doesn't mean it's not an interesting scene. It's definitely, and it definitely feels wholly Twin Peaks, wholly David Lynch. It is just, it is definitely in this particular episode, this scene does like come out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
And it's very funny when it hits. I mean, it is one of those things, like the first time I watched it, I was just like, what is this? Like, it was so like, do I smell toast? Am I having a stroke? Like, what is this? Like, I really don't know. But I mean, God, the actor, that plays Charlie is great in the part. Like, he plays it very well. It is very wholly Lynchian. I mean, it very much is. And it is funny. I mean, that's the other thing. It is a funny scene. Like, we still don't know what the hell's going on, but it is a funny scene. I can't deny that part. I still chuckle when I watch it just because of him literally being like the absolute opposite of her.
The only thing I know that guy, what else he was in, is he plays Michael Madsen's buddy in Kill Bill Volume 2 when they're burying the bride.
Yep.
Right.
And that's like a totally different type of performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not the same thing at all.
It is funny. I get creepy vibes in this scene. It feels to me like one of two things is happening, and I don't think we have enough information yet. Like, she is lost it, and this guy is dealing with that, and he's managing her instability, or he is gaslighting her and is controlling her, and she is trapped in some kind of really abusive relationship. And so it is funny, and I mean, Lynch does a really good job of balancing humor and darkness quite well. Yeah. But I do find this scene gives me really sort of uncomfortable vibes whenever I'm watching.
When you get towards the end of the scene. Yeah, when you get towards the end of it, that's where it starts to have that feeling of this is not right. Something is off. And each scene afterwards continues that progression.
Yeah.
But it definitely, in this moment, you're just kind of like, it is. I mean, again, there's a ridiculous nature to it. And the two of them and the way that they bicker and stuff, it's pretty funny. But then, like you said, it does have that tinge of weirdness and creepiness as the scene plays out, where you really are kind of like, really and truly, what in the hell is going on here?
Yeah,
like,
what is this dynamic?
It's funny, but it feels like, well, and this is almost the way you can kind of look at this whole thing. It's a scene that feels artificial. Like, it really does. It feels very artificial. And in a television series is talking about tulpas and things like that. I mean, it definitely has that. Like, again, it fits in perfectly with the vibe of Twin Peaks. I don't dispute that. Was it what I wanted for Audrey when it's all said and done?
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
But was it at least interesting? Yeah. And again, it's probably my least favorite part of The Return, but that's like, Return of the Jedi is my least favorite Star Wars film of the original trilogy, but I still love Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Yeah. It's still good. It's just not my favorite thing. It's not what I wanted for, but it's an interesting scene. It's got layers to it too.
Especially the pace of this episode, because the episode, other than the Sarah Palmer stuff that's in the episode too, it's a pretty straightforward. You're following, they're developing the plot more of what's going on in the kind of interconnected plot lines of the show.
Sure.
Well, okay, compared to with that scene in the same episode, the Sarah Palmer stuff, I think is really interesting. Again, this rewatch has really been interesting for the way that it's informed how I've understood some of the stuff that's going on here, and because I've often rewatched it like all in more of a binge, and so spreading it out over time really and isolating episodes has been a really interesting way for me to rewatch this, and so I've appreciated that. And so that's something I want to talk about as well when we get to the Sarah Palmer stuff. But I think that Sherilyn Fenn's performance here is just really lovely, and there's a desperation to what she's doing here that I just find so fascinating to watch, and quite saddening. Like, she does such a good job.
It is. It's disheartening because she's not the Audrey Horne that we've always known.
Right.
Audrey Horne that we always knew was very, like, she knew what she wanted, and she knew, like, when she walked into the room, she was the smartest person in the room. Because she knew exactly what was going to happen and how it was going to break down. And now she doesn't feel like that at all.
It's hard to see her like that. I think, and that's might be some of what you're responding to, and I think what we're all responding to is that she's not that Audrey anymore. Like, the last time we saw her, she was walking into that bank, and she had plans, and it was it is disheartening to see her this way, and I think that was just, it's heartbreaking that watching this scene. So while it is a funny scene, I also, for me, I think I took away less of the humor and more of the tragic elements of this scene. Especially depending on how you're reading what, in the scheme of things, when you've seen it all, how you're reading what is going on here.
Well,
it's go ahead, Cody.
I was going to say, it's very much like seeing somebody who you thought, oh, this person's going to go on. They're going to be top of their class in college. They're going to go off and do amazing things.
Right.
And then you find this person 25 years later, and they're like kind of the shell of the person they used to be. And like, there's a story of tragedy and heartbreak somewhere in there that we don't know. We can speculate, and we kind of know later when we learn more things, but we don't know what that took a toll on and how that changed her as a person. Or also after that explosion at the bank, and all these things. And we never got the third season of the show, or what he was going to do with the movies had Fire Walk with Me been a hit.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, it was great to see her finally. At this point, like I said, it's literally just a WTF moment. But there's also the other thing that I know. Well, and this part I'd noticed before is that this scene, even in first watch, evoked for me the Roadhouse scenes. Now, not just because she mentions the Roadhouse and wanting to go, but all of the conversations of names of people that we don't know who they are and what's going on, and
some of those names we hear in this.
Yes,
like that's the other thing of it. Like, it does have some connectivity to the Roadhouse, which is really interesting.
I think that is interesting, and that really makes me think a lot about those, because I still haven't wrapped my head around the Roadhouse in The Return very well. Like, I think I still am not 100% sure what to make of the Roadhouse, and this plot line has something to do with where I'm struggling with that.
Sure. So, no, I get that completely.
Yeah, and I think for me, the Roadhouse stuff shows two things: the just how bigger the town of Twin Peaks is. And also, it isn't technically in the Twin Peaks city limits, right? It's like on the border of Canada. So it's like the outside world coming into Twin Peaks as well.
Right.
Well, for me, I've always thought the Roadhouse scenes, if anything, they just expand the current universe of the Twin Peaks world. Like, these are just stories that don't mean anything as far as in the grand scheme of things of what's being told in the series, but they're stories that still are connected into that world because these people all live and breathe in that same area. And it really just goes to show the further corruption and how that's spreading out of the city. You know what I mean? Like, it's now, here it keeps going. So it's like, to me, like, the Roadhouse stuff just allowed me to get more of a glimpse of how bad things have gotten in Twin Peaks. We see Red there a time or two. We see, of course, the evil Horn kid. His first name
Yeah, no,
Is it Richard? Richard,
Right.
right?
He left
Yeah.
me. We see like the bad elements. Yeah, Richard. Yeah, we see the bad elements in the Roadhouse.
Right. Even
And when you think
the-
about it,
even the nameless people that we are just having their conversations, they're not telling happy stories most of the time,
No.
right?
they've got
Like,
horrible rashes
especially
from
in-
drug
Yes,
use. They've
right.
got, you know,
In this
all that
episode,
stuff. And
like somebody's cheating on their friend,
Yep.
Right.
and then the guy shows up and was almost in an accident, and he's apparently
Yep.
just gotten off house arrest.
Yeah.
and it gets darker as the season goes on. At the
Oh,
beginning,
yeah.
you see, you know, of course, we got Shelley there and James
Right.
there, and James was
Right.
always cool,
Right.
you know, and his buddy Freddie. Like at the beginning, it's fine, and then as it goes on, we see another Renault working there, played by the same actor who played Jacques Renault. So we see that hasn't changed. We see that again. The more the story permeates, the more the darkness comes through into the Roadhouse. Which again, not getting ahead of ourselves with Audrey, but it really makes you think about her perspective there when you see how her storyline ends up.
Yeah. Right.
So it's definitely like, for me, it's interesting as the season goes on, how worse
Mhm.
the Roadhouse gets. Like it
Right.
just gets worse. It's just on a decline of goodness and morality.
Yeah. This, again, another thing I noticed seeing this episode in isolation is how female centric it is. We're focusing on all of these women characters, whether it's, Audrey, like we talked about, or Sarah, like we talked about, but also there's a lot going on for Tammy and for Diane.
And Diane. Yep.
Yeah. And we find out, and on a smaller level, we find out that woman whose name I'm forgetting survived Richard's attack, and
Yep.
so it's very much focusing on the women characters. We get a tiny, brief little bit of Nadine's arc happen here. It was just a little taste, just to remind us that she's
Dr.
still out
Jacoby's,
there.
podcast / infomercial.
Run silent, run drapes, baby. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's one of my single favorite things in the return. Run silent, run drapes.
Do we want to go back to the beginning with Gordon
and
all that?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's like I was saying with Tammy. So we get some explanation, right? Like we had an introduction to the Blue Road cases in Fire Walk with Me, but here we get a very basic history, I guess.
Yeah.
Of this, right?
Yeah, we get the backstory of kind of where this all kind of starts, at least for the FBI to be involved in it, right?
Yeah.
And we find out like all the various characters we met in Fire Walk with Me, Philip Jeffries, Chet Desmond, that they were part of this task force. And now it's just Gordon and Albert.
And now Tammy, because she's dead.
Yeah, because they're bringing her in. Yeah.
And we get the new recruit of Diane.
I'm sad they don't mention Sam Stanley, though, when he talks about. I mean, maybe he wasn't officially recruited into the Blue Rose.
Walk with Me, he was not. That's true. But you would think after what he was involved with Agent Desmond that he would have been picked up.
Yeah, but oh well.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was a little nitpick I had when watching this episode.
That's fair. But I did
what about Sam?
myself. But I had to remind myself of that he didn't know what the Blue Rose was in Fire Walk with Me because he wasn't part of that task force. So he may not have ever been officially picked up, which is a shame because, like, in the deleted scenes, the missing pieces, we see a scene with him and Cooper together and stuff. And it's like, yeah, like Sam Stanley should have absolutely been involved.
Maybe he went missing too. Maybe he's just
he did.
Maybe.
That we haven't seen Sam.
It would have been nice to have seen Kiefer show up.
Yeah.
I'd have loved to see Kiefer Sutherland show up. Of course, I also really wanted to see what happened to Chet Desmond. I was really hoping we'd get more with him.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we get Diane. So Diane's officially on the Blue Rose Task Force, to which we get the wonderful
Tammy is.
Well, but they deputized Diane.
They deputize her too, yes. But
and we
they
get
know that she's. So this is what's interesting. What's going on here? Because they know she's,
something's up.
They're intercepting her messages.
Yep. They know
So are
she's
they
talking to somebody?
are they actually deputizing, or are they just telling her that so they can continue to, monitor? That's how I'm reading what's going on.
Yeah, no, I definitely
Yeah.
think it's, keep your friends close, keep your enemies
Yeah.
closer. I think it
Yeah,
definitely falls in that
I
category.
think Albert is at least
Yeah.
2 to 5 steps ahead of what's going on here.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
But we get that title drop of "Let's Rock," which I loved that
Right.
when she said it. I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, like, yeah, baby,
Yeah.
let's rock. I hadn't heard that since I saw it scribbled on the windshield in Fire Walk with Me. So
Right,
it was really nice.
right. Well, is that a clue? Because at this point we don't know who Diane is. So is that a clue?
That's
that
fair.
We're getting
That's fair.
for
That could
us,
be.
maybe.
It very well
Maybe,
could
possibly.
be. And I don't think Lynch is one of those people that does things by accident. So I feel like, nope, that probably is. It probably is. But no, I love seeing the four of them together. Every scene the four of them are in, it's always great. I can never get enough of Gordon Cole and Albert ever. Like, I just love them so much. And quite possibly my single favorite scene with the two of them is in this episode, which we'll get to in a bit with the French woman.
Well, let's get there because I have
Do
some
it.
thoughts there
Gordon
too.
Cole,
So
as
let's
the
go
kids
there.
say. He's got the riz, man.
I swear to God, the first time I watched this series, the first time I watched this on Showtime, when Albert goes into that room and there's that French lady, and that she just takes her sweet ass time leaving that place, putting on her lipstick, putting on each shoe, doing each buckle, and the cute way and the flirty way that she does every single thing.
Mhm.
That in and of itself would have made the scene fabulous. But then you get Gordon telling the turnip truck joke.
Yes.
And I literally about coughed up a lung. I laughed so hard at that because it's not just the dad joke. It's Gordon's delivery of the joke, and it's Albert's absolute non-reaction to it.
Yeah,
that is absolute.
Didn't get it either.
I swear to God, I think this might be like one of my single favorite, just flat out take the scene by itself, remove context, and just watch the scene. This is definitely one of my favorite scenes in all of Twin Peaks. It is truly, like, even every time I watch it still, this scene makes me laugh out loud every single time. It always will. Lynch was so good at comedy, like truly was genuinely great at comedy. And this is just a masterstroke by the performances of everyone in the scene. The French woman, she's fabulous. She's absolutely adorable. Beautiful, beautiful gal.
Hilarious.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
like
just everything, all her business.
And taking
is
your time
hilarious.
to drink the wine and shit. Like it's
adjusting herself. Yeah.
It's fabulous.
But the turn up joke, Jessica laughed at that too. Like just the delivery of it.
And especially like, I told her, don't worry, he'll turn up. And just Albert.
Yeah, Albert's reaction is the best part.
Well, because Gordon delivers it with a deadpan. Like that's the other, because he's just like, I told her, don't worry, he'll turn up. It's just that. And then the reaction is exactly the same, only without any hint of smile or amusement involved from Gordon, from Albert. It's truly like, between the two of them, it might be my single favorite scene between Gordon and Albert. It's just magical.
I had thoughts about it this time that I hadn't before, because it is delightful. It is, I mean, it's a great little sort of character building and connecting like moments for Albert and Gordon. But we just talked about the Blue Rose cases.
Yeah.
Blue Rose cases. And then he tells this story about her sister's mother. And that, when he says that triggers me. And I start thinking about the Fire Walk with Me and him talking about it's my sister's mother, it's my brother's sister's girl, whatever it is. I'm not remembering right now. And I thought to myself, is he coding a message to Albert here that we are... Like, this is a joke and it's funny and that whole little bit, but is this woman, is she like...
She could be another Lil. Dude,
it
really good.
I had not thought about that before, but it just...
I hadn't either, but as soon as you said that, I'm like, no shit, that could be.
It's so reminiscent of that moment.
Oh God, yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah. And of course, there's no Sam Stanley to explain it to, so we just watch it happen, and he just looks at him, and and it could be that he's coding his message in a way that he enjoys because it's funny.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense for Gordon Cole, and it makes
Oh, it
sense for
absolutely does.
Albert. So I like to, in my new reading of this scene, is that he's passing on some information to Albert there,
I'm fine
and
with that.
we
Dave.
don't
I
get to
think
find out what it is, and I don't
Yeah.
care because I think it's just wonderful. But
it's just,
anyways,
it is one of those moments that, like, again, like most people, like hell, every other director on the planet would not think to give it that much time to breathe.
right,
They would
Yeah.
just like get through the joke really quick and get out the no.
right,
Lynch just lets it play. I mean, that's like a fucking 10-minute scene, basically.
yeah,
It should have
Yeah.
been 2 minutes. Like, it's
Yeah.
just great. Like,
yeah. It's
And
like
I
the
mean-
sweeping scene. Yeah,
exactly. I was getting ready to say it's like green onions and sweeping. It's just
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
let it play out. But this is like, I mean, for me, like truly, I could have watched an entire spinoff series of Gordon Cole and Albert and Tammy like doing Blue Rose cases. I've said it before, and I'll say it till the end of time. If I could have gotten that, it would have been a spectacular thing.
Mhm.
And this is one of those scenes that just reminds me so much of why that would have been a fabulous thing. And it just reminds you too of how Lynch really kind of was a master of comedy. I mean, we've talked about Mulholland Drive, the scene with the lady getting shot in her ass, and the way that whole scene unfolds. Like, it's a masterclass in setup and payoff for comedy. So he knows how to do comedy, and this scene is so perfect, like in how it's executed. And again, thinking of it now, like she's like another Lil. That's funny as hell too. Like, I'm just like,
I know. I love the
Gordon
idea.
Cole thinks I need to get like a cute girl and make her do weird shit to get a message across, because that's the
Yes.
code shit. And we know from his discussion with Dennis Denise is like, Gordon, I know how you are with the ladies, another
Right.
young lady. And so like, we all kind of know here, Gordon's
Right.
up there, man. Gordon's on a different level.
I think that's also just David Lynch putting a little bit of him. Well, I mean, he's.
Oh God,
basically
yes, that's
himself, but I
that's
mean,
David Lynch putting David Lynch in there. I mean, that lady bears a very striking resemblance to Isabella Rossellini if you really start thinking about it.
well,
I'm
I
like,
mean,
yeah,
Lynch was married like I think 5 times,
Mhm.
and
Right.
he talks about how like he's like, these women always want to marry me, and I tell them I'm too obsessed with my work. So I mean, like, he must have had some just like naturalistic charm that people were attracted.
Well,
to.
and I think he, as far as I'm aware, had a pretty decent relationship with all of his exes.
Yes.
It's not like they were all like, "Oh, I hate this bastard."
No,
and
I don't think any of them.
No,
would ever
I
have anything
think
bad about it.
I think they all ended because they realized, like, yeah, he's obsessed with one thing,
Right.
and that's his creativity.
Yeah. But man, that scene killed me. I mean, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's wonderful.
It's a great scene. It's fun. This was just a new thought I had as I
No,
was
it's
watching
as soon
it.
as you said that, I knew where you were going with it when you talked about the mother's sister. I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
she's
Yep.
my mother's
And-
sister's girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
The whole
Exactly.
the whole Blue Rose stuff tells me for a fact that this has to be a huge influence on Chris Carter for the X-Files.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Oh, he said as much. Yeah, he said
Yeah.
as much. Like it absolutely, like there's no X-Files without Twin Peaks, and in a lot of ways, because that's how he also discovered David Duchovny, and so it's like,
Yep.
yeah, without Twin Peaks, there really is no X-File. And this definitely flies into that category. The wonderful. While Twin Peaks goes a lot into the supernatural and somewhat cosmic horror, there is that science fiction vibe to it as well. And I love that the Blue Rose stuff really lets you tap into that. But it all makes perfect sense in the execution of Twin Peaks. Like none of these types of categories of genres oversteps the other. It all blends together really, really nicely. And if you think about the X-Files, it kind of did the same thing with drama and comedy and action and sci-fi. Like it all blended together very well. So again, Twin Peaks being the bar setter that it was, this scene just reminds you of why you love Twin Peaks. To me, it's just it's a perfect moment. But it does lead to something really important, because this is where they find out about the text messages they've been intercepting.
Yep.
And that's a pretty big deal about the whole Las Vegas thing. So like it all starts again, this starts bringing everything together. And I think that's, the exciting point from here on out is everything that felt so disjointed, it really starts coming together now. It really, really does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure. I think there's the text messages. There's also the assassination scene, which is
Yes.
bringing in characters
Yeah, and you want to
together
talk
from different
about
plots.
Mulholland Drive? Well, Jennifer Jason Leigh and Tim Roth's character may be a little more capable than that hitman. They give off like
Yeah,
trashy.
Well,
dumb.
I love that they're like almost out of a Tarantino film.
No,
Like
they are.
the
I'm talking
dialogue,
about getting
everything
fast
about it.
food
Yeah.
while they're
And
killing
both of
this
them being
guy.
Tarantino actors. So like,
Yeah.
right.
It's fun how they tapped into that. Like Tarantino is almost a genre in and of itself, and that's what you get with the two of them. I do think it's very funny that because I guess we can talk about Chantal and Hutch because we got the assassination. I love their dynamic. Like I really do. Like I love the scenes with them together. I think it's hilarious that it's kind of like I guess making a statement about how terrible they are because everything they eat is processed junk food.
Yes, right.
Yes, because
Like,
they're
it's
like,
so
all right,
funny.
off to Wendy's after
Yeah.
Yeah,
killing
right.
that guy.
And they're always eating like Cheetos and like, all this shit that like, a 5-year-old would eat. Like, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Like they have terrible eating habits.
Right.
How are they so thin? It makes no sense. But I do love like the two of them, even though they're horrible people, you can't deny the magnetism of those two characters. Like
Right.
they play so well off each other. And again, like, I mean, when you got Tim Roth and Jennifer Jason Leigh, like you're going to get quality out of that scene. I don't care what you have them doing. And I love how they talk about the most mundane shit
Right.
before committing these heinous acts. Like
Right.
they're just so matter of fact, like about everything. And I
Yeah.
love that. They're so well written and so well played. And they're very, I mean, for horrible people, they're very likable characters. And that's a fine line
This is the balance that he's doing so well in the scene because it's a fairly brief scene.
It is.
But
No,
he
it's very
packed so
brief.
much in there. But then when we were talking before about how he balances the darkness with the humor, I mean, they could have just focused on these, like had the funny scene with the dialogue between them. They shoot the guy, they go off to Wendy's, right? But they don't. Before that happens, he throws in the little kid running out, seeing his dad just been murdered.
Yeah.
Like it really emphasized, like, I was laughing and then I was like, had this like pause. Cause again, this is a moment that I'd sort of forgotten. And as I come to the rewatch, I was surprised by again. But it really emphasized, these are bad guys. These are horrible people. And so because the way they're written, like you said, like there's a danger they'll become sympathetic. And so he reminds you not that these people are not. They're trash.
Not. They don't deserve your support.
Yeah.
They don't deserve your sympathy.
Exactly. And I just thought it was so effective. Like it was this tiny little scene.
It is.
It was so.
And they didn't have to kill him at his home because Mr. C said they could kill him at work or wherever.
Yeah.
They could have killed him in the parking
He's not
lot.
a likable character. And so when he died, again, it would be easy for you just to watch that and be like, oh, good, he's dead. Like, who cares, right?
Yeah.
But then having that moment turns it around for you, especially because we just had a scene. I'm trying to remember the order of it, but we just had a scene where we're talking about a dead kid, right? So like he's really balancing those the darkness and the humor so effectively that you can't just like no scene is just this one's the funny scene and then this is the sad scene and this is the romantic scene. Like it's all in each one of these bits.
And it's funny because, like, again, I mentioned that they feel like they're in a Tarantino film, but Tarantino does a good job with that too, of not being afraid to hide the darkness from these characters. That you can find their dialogue very funny, but don't forget they're terrible people. You know, like he's always done a really good job with that in his work. And this definitely feels like they were inspired by Tarantino to do something like that with these two characters and the two performers in it. I don't think it's coincidence that both of them are Tarantino staples. So it's interesting that they went that path with this, and it's a fun kind of pickup, especially because I mean, like you could have cast anybody in that, but again, you got Tim Roth, and you got Jason Leigh, so like you knew.
Yeah, I hadn't made that connection, but that makes a lot of sense when you say it like that. Like I think you're right on that. It's just again a tiny little scene moving the plot forward because that's an important plot point that this guy has been taken out. But it's also like fun to watch, but then also works its difficult the
Yeah,
difficult
it's
aspects
fun to
in.
watch, but then he reminds you, like you said,
Yeah.
so you don't get that sympathy for
Yeah.
them. He reminds
Yeah.
you that these are terrible people. And how
Yeah.
terrible are they that they do this, they commit this murder, they see the kid run out, and
Yeah.
they're totally fine and just going to go get
They
the
Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
going on about their business, and it's a good balance between the two scenes to just kind of show us, the effects of what happens in the world. Because, like you're saying, we don't think the warden obviously was involved in some shady, corrupt stuff, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. We
so
don't
it's not
necessarily
him
like
being
him.
killed
Yeah.
that makes it shocking. It's that his kid sees it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of dead kids, like I said, that and Audrey, like, so we do get the scene with Ben, and
Yes.
again, it's just really like he's such, he's come so far, right?
has.
And this
Yeah.
scene of him taking responsibility, showing real sadness, not just for the victims in this situation, but for his family and what they've all been put through because of this horrible person that's part of their family.
And he's going to take on her medical bills and stuff like that. Like that.
Yeah.
That's these are big moves that Ben Horn in season 1 would never
have done.
No,
never
exactly.
An enormous amount of empathy coming out of him in this exchange between him and Sheriff Truman.
But not just that, the thought that he thinks to do something for Harry.
Yeah,
right?
To give Frank the key for Harry because he thought Harry might want that.
Yeah.
And again, as well,
it's
and
also
he even
plot.
Asks about the kid's parents,
right?
Right.
Yeah. But it's also plot because it's reminding us of these plot points that are going to be important and have been so because it is 18 parts, so it is helpful to have some of these things be mentioned as we go along, so we're reminded, right? But it also is this gesture of because again, like the old Ben never would have even given a thought.
No, he would have been
Harry or any of this.
Scoffed it off and been like, "What do you want me to do about it?"
He'd have been doing everything he could to cover it up. Period.
Right.
Full stop. That's what he would have done. He'd have covered it up.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So, Miriam probably dies. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right.
There's a call to Leo Johnson. Suddenly that woman's not around anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's old Ben does not act like this at all. And I was really glad, when they brought, Ben into the return that he hadn't regressed.
Right.
Because it would have been really easy to write him that way. Like, could he really have been that good? Could he really have done that? But I really appreciate the fact that he did not regress, that he really continues to grow. And I think that's really great. And it would have been really it'd have been a real shame if they would have had him revert back to old Ben ways just because you needed another villain or whatever. I'm really glad that they didn't go that path.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. That anything else about that scene when he's talking to
I do love the
Sheriff
room
Truman
key thing though. I do love the room key thing because he knows that Harry's sick and we've never heard them say what Matt probably a cancer of some form, whatever. But it just goes to show too. I mean, again, would Ben Horn back in the day have even thought about that? No,
not at all.
But he wanted to do something kind. He wanted to do something kind for someone who had helped him, and there like, that scene just shows a lot of growth with Ben. It really does. And I it's a good scene. I mean, the two of them, do a great job in the scene. And I mean, I love our new Sheriff Truman. I think he's wonderful. And again, Robert Forster just great in anything. And he's literally so fantastic in every scene he's in The Return. Because that's what you get when you cast an actor of that caliber, But seeing the two of them in that scene, it really is it's just a very simple scene, but there's like it's funny, even though the new Sheriff Truman is not as endeared to us as Harry, there's still such a sense of familiarity with it that it's just like that warm sweater kind of feel, with this scene. It's a really, really nice piece. It's really touching, and it really, again, seeing Ben Horn take accountability, like who the hell saw that coming? Like it's really, really great stuff.
And going above and beyond, and I don't know if Truman went there expecting that, but he, told him everything and he was like, yeah, of course, I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
sorry.
And you know that he will. Like, you absolutely know
Yeah.
that he means it. Like, it's
Well, I
not
mean,
something you're
as
saying.
soon as he leaves, he tells Ashley Judd, call
Yeah.
the hospital.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good stuff, man. You know, Ben Horn is a really, you know, multi-layered character, and it's great to see him still on that path of goodness, you know, of
Well,
being, you know, a good force.
And we talked about how you know were disappointed or not 100% happy where Audrey went. This is a payoff that was building on where the show was at
Yeah.
at the end of the original series, and we're seeing what the effects of that was for Ben.
Yeah, it's great payoff. It is.
Yeah.
It's really great payoff.
Well, and it also shows too, like we've talked about the way the town has changed, how the sheriff's station specifically has become a much bigger operation than it was before.
Yeah.
But we're still seeing this episode. I mean, we get this visit, but then we also get Hawk going to check
Right.
on Sarah,
doing
and
a
that was a
personal
really
check.
yeah.
Okay.
'Cause
Here's
that-
my thing.
Yes.
Why is she still living in that house?
Well, she's not well, right?
No, of course
And
not.
so-
But I mean, anybody that went through what that woman went through, you would have
Oh yeah.
got out of that house immediately.
Well, what's interesting, or I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why she may
Right.
have, yeah. But okay, so we first encounter her at the liquor store,
Yeah.
and it is this, you know, quite upsetting scene, because she's clearly not well, and it's, you know, she has this reaction about something happened to me, right? Like, and that
Mhm.
was a gut punch to hear her say that, because she is acknowledging, you know, whatever, like there's a few things she could be talking about here, if not all of it in a row. Like,
Right,
it
all
could
the
be the
above.
bug crawling into her as a little girl. It could be all the stuff she went through with Leland, could be losing her daughter. It could be, you know, who knows what she's referring to specifically there. There's so much. And she is buying a crap ton of alcohol
booze, yeah.
and
Yeah.
cigarettes, and you know, it's this moment, like the way the kids who are working in this store react, like they don't like brush her off or like be like they actually show genuine concern. The guy
I mean,
even
the
says,
kid
"I know
says
where
he
she lives.
knows
I could
where she
deliver it."
lives. He
Yeah.
can deliver. Which I was like, did she even pay for it?
but then again, there's they reported it, and Hawk goes and checks, and I think, I mean, partially he has a personal relationship probably with the family, so there's that, but there's also, I think, just it indicates that some things maybe are still the same in terms of the small town, you know, we're going to take care of each other sort of ethic that's happening there. And so that scene, you know, and what do you think makes a noise in her house? What is going on there? Like,
I mean,
what's in there?
yeah, not trying to get too far ahead of things, but I mean, knowing what we know about where this ends up going, I just feel like that house is almost like a portal to sorrow and pain and trauma. Part of the reason she leave, and that energy there, you know, I just feel like there's something that's making that happen. That noise is happening. Again, I don't know how far we want to go into ideas of it, but I'll just say Judy and leave it at that. But that's what I think that's all alluding to. And I think if you look at the way that Hawk responds to it,
yeah,
and we know that Hawk is very in tune with all things in the White and Black Lodge. I just feel like he picks up on something there that no other person in the sheriff's department would have picked up on.
Right.
And I feel
No.
like he knows that something bigger is in play than just her being in that house. Like there's more to it. And I think that's a big part of the reason why she's not left. I feel like there is a hold on her in that house. There is an energy, there is a force. And again, we'll talk more about Judy and things as time goes on in this discussion. But to me, I just feel like this all reeks of that. And then the next episode, you know, there's a time loop thing that happens where you're like, yeah, there's something here. There's something going on here. And again, we'll talk about it more when we finish the 18th episode. But I feel like there's a reason these things are being set in play, and we'll talk about that when we get to that point. But it's all interesting seeing these little pieces dropped this early. You know, when we get to episode 18, it's just kind of like, oh shit. Like,
right.
depending on what you believe happens, this could be symbolizing something very, very big, and something, again, getting into that cosmic horror, something even on that level. I'll leave it at that until we get into the further discussion. But it's a tremendous scene. For everything you said, that it's wonderful to see Hawk go check on it. And I truly believe that he's there in a genuine sense of empathy and just really wanted to check on her. But I also believe that he is aware of other things. And I think it's not just checking on her, but checking on that house. Like, I just feel like he's playing a little 4D chess there that nobody else in the department would catch. That's just my thoughts on it. I won't get any more into it until we get into the later episodes, but that's what I'm thinking.
He knows something's not completely right, and he knows from the stuff with Leland and Laura.
Yeah, because he was there when all that happened with Leland. And who also does he talk to all the time? But the log lady, right? So this guy's in tune, man. Hawk is always going to be one of my favorite characters. Period. He's just great. Michael Horst does a wonderful job with the part. But Hawk is just like one of those guys that he's always like the smartest guy in the room. Like, he is just in tune with things that in tune with. I love that. And this scene, to me, it really does play on a couple of different levels, and I really appreciate that. It's a very thoughtful scene in its execution.
And Grace Zabriskie is great in it. She really does play. I mean, Sarah Palmer has always been such
that she and Ray Wise didn't get Emmys for their work on the first two seasons. Is just it really is.
Yeah, she's so good.
It's a multi-layered of emotions just in these two little scenes. It's full on sadness and anger and outrage, and then in that whole exchange with Hawk, like, she's trying to be friendly, but at the same time, it's like, what do I need to say so you can leave?
I mean, the whole concept of haunted houses goes into ideas of trauma.
I was going to say trauma is really the key thing. Like, and that's a woman who has been hounded by it in every time that we've known her in Twin Peaks. It has been the most traumatic thing.
And that house, I mean, because Twin Peaks ends up being a story about domestic violence, it's referring to the violence within the home, and this is the home. Like, this is the scene of the crime. It is the scene of horrors, and one of the things that makes domestic violence so insidious and so terrible is that it's violence that happens within the space where you're supposed to feel safe.
Where you're supposed to be safe.
Yeah. And this is, this house is a reflection of the perversity of that, right? Yeah. So it's just, and like you said, Kevin, it's leading us towards the climax here that is going to, that we're going to be seeing really soon. And so seeing all of that, like, what a powerful powerful part of this episode for sure, and of the season, and seeing Grace get the chance to really play this character, probably the character she's most known for, despite having some other great iconic moments in other in other movies.
She's fabulous in the scene. And again, like, there's just that sense of, like, it's weird to say this, but when you think about things in the long run, doesn't it feel almost like she's like a bit of a puppet, like being controlled? Like, when he hears the sound and the way that she's trying to get him to leave, like, there's something there.
That's why he asks, you're okay, right? Like, he doesn't, like, it's very much like, is somebody making you say this? It's
right.
Like,
is there a gun to your head on the other side of the door, kind of thing? And it really does have that feeling.
Right.
And it's very sinister and very creepy there at the end. It really is. And again, she plays it beautifully. She really does. Sarah Palmer is easily, the most tragic character in all of Twin Peaks. I mean, when you look at how many layers of trauma she has in that house, her daughter, her husband, and all the things that go on there, their deaths, you know,
Mhm.
you know, and then of course everything that happened under the roof, you know, like, and not only all of them, then you got to throw in Madeline, you know, so it's just like
Yeah.
there's so much in that house, you know, like there's just so much there. And
Mhm.
Sarah is just you know, it really is like a riveting scene when you start thinking about it. And
Mhm.
it's one of those, like, on first watch, you take it at a certain level, right? It's almost just
Mhm.
kind of a face value scene. But once you've seen it and go back to it, that scene just has, like, again, it's just a very layered scene, man. There's a lot there.
Mhm.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of, like, I'm holding my cards close, but I might know what you're holding. Like, I might know
Right.
that you've got something there. I don't think you're bluffing. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
got that kind of vibe to it, and I really
Right.
dig it. I really
Right.
dig it. Almost like a little bit of a standoff between the two of them at the end,
Right.
and it's
Right.
just, it's brilliant. I mean, it really is. It's a brilliant scene, and it's really, you know, again, this is an episode filled with many great moments, and this is just another one of them. It really
Mhm.
is.
Yeah. Are there any scenes we haven't talked about?
Well, there's the one-off scene where we just really get to see how good is it Carl, Harry Dean Stanton's character,
Right.
just how good of a person he is. Like, he's
Yes.
the landlord, but
Yes.
the
It's like,
random neighbor, he's
I don't
like,
want
you're
you to
selling
donate
blood.
any
Don't
blood.
do
Yeah.
that
Yep.
anymore. You come
Right.
talk to me, and you don't have to pay for your rent this month.
Well, because he's like, well,
Right.
you did this and you did that, right? And you took care
Yeah.
of this for me, right? Well, you know what? That's worth,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, again, Carl Rod's a real one, man. He really is. Like, he's almost like he's a very funny character in Fire Walk with Me, because you're just kind of like, what the hell is this guy's deal? But he is an endearing character in The Return. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
he's just, you know, he's
that's
fabulous.
one of the themes that Lynch is interested in this season, in this project, is goodness and good people and good men specifically, right? I think he's really interested in that and
we're
exploring it. And
gonna
that's why we get those little moments.
And we're
Yeah.
going to see more of that come into fruition with some characters. I mean, you know, that's the big thing that's going on in Vegas with Dougie.
Yeah.
And there's another character that's going to be an integral part that's sheer goodness. I mean, like, yeah, that's a lot to go on, especially
Yeah.
in a world where there's a lot of corruption and evil that's
Yeah.
kind of encompassing.
We do
that
get a
there's-
small Dougie scene. I almost forgot. We get the ball throwing scene in this episode. That's
It's
all
so
we see of Dougie.
It's all we
but
get, and it's so
Oh,
perfect.
yeah. I
Yeah.
forgot
Sonny
about
Jim.
that.
I
Yeah.
almost forgot too, but
Just
there you
Pelts
go.
him in the
There's
face.
another-
It's so
Yeah.
perfect. Oh God. I mean, really and truly, like I said, every single thing that I you know, my still all my favorite moments of The Return are everything in Vegas, and this little
This is a
moment,
Vegas Light episode. That's
yeah,
for
it's Vegas
sure.
Light,
Yeah.
but it's still a great episode. It's Vegas Light, but that one little piece we get is absolutely worth it. It's
Yeah.
just such a beautiful thing. And then of course the next episode kicks off with one of my single favorite moments in The Return, with a big Vegas scene. I won't say anything more about that, but it's a
but we're
beautiful,
going back.
sweet
Yeah,
story.
we take a
Yeah.
little detour from Vegas, but we go
Yeah.
definitely are heading
But
back
we
there.
took a good detour. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of good stuff, a lot of things in Twin Peaks in this
Yeah.
episode too.
That's
Um,
true.
We
Well,
did forget
and-
though, Ruth
yeah.
Davenport's arm.
Yes, I was
Yeah.
just going to say
Remember-
that reminded me, like, this things are pointing to Twin Peaks, right?
Yep.
And we
Yep.
get that. Like, you know, one of the critiques of the show when it was first airing was, why is this show not happening in Twin Peaks? And this is, you know, this is a moment where we are pointed back to, like,
Yep.
the importance of Twin Peaks and the location, all of that. So that's also a little bit of a cliffhanger, I guess, is kind of where that ends up. Yeah, is like Diane
roads lead to
figures
Twin
out.
Peaks. You know,
Yeah.
because I mean, you see the numbers and she figures it out, and you're like, oh my God, that's literally
Yeah.
pointing right there. And what I like about The Return is it really like expands upon the world of Twin Peaks. Like, you know, there are other places in the world that are impacted by the
Mhm.
things in this town, and it's so cool. And
Right.
you know, honestly, like it was great. It really adds to the epicness of The Return that it's not just in Twin Peaks. You know, that you do get to see these other places and these other wonderful characters. And of course, you know, Buckhorn is kind of Twin Peaks light. Let's be honest. It kind
Oh,
of
yeah. It very
right.
much is. It's got its
But,
own
man,
kooky
like,
citizens. And
How different is The Return? Yeah, But how different is the return if we don't have the Vegas stuff? You know what I mean? Like, it's so good. It's the best. And like, when you're first watching it, you're like, why are we spending all this time in Vegas? But then it all ends up making sense. And it's so great when it all converges. But man, yeah, like this episode is really solid. It's again, expanding on things, but again, bringing it together. And this third act is, man, like it all starts.
Yeah, I definitely think we're
really quickly
seeing on the next few episodes, we're going to see a lot of threads all coming together. And this is a big part of that for sure. Yeah,
it starts moving real fast. But man, what a great episode. And again, just reminds you of everything that's great about the return. I mean, there's so many great moments here, and again, so many great characters. I think the fun thing that we've talked about here tonight, is just like every scene has layers to it. Like you can take it at face value, and that's totally fine. But you can also look at it in a couple of different ways. And again, as we've talked about numerous times, whichever way you interpret it, yes, you're correct.
Sure.
But that's the fun thing about Lynch and his work, is that he never wanted to explain anything. He always wanted you to kind of take it in your own way, and what you think it is exactly what it is. What you bring to it and what you take away from it, it's wholly yours and very unique. So this episode just reminds us of why we love it, the characters that we love. You get the moments of comedy, you get the moments of drama, you get the moments of like the creepiness, like it's all there. And every episode just does that so effortlessly. It really does. Like, it's funny, for as disconnected as I thought it felt the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much it feels like the original Twin Peaks. When you look at every episode of the original Twin Peaks, also had the balance of comedy and melodrama and horror and action. Like, it had a little bit of everything, and every episode in this has done the same thing. Like, it really is just, the more I watch The Return, the more and more it feels like what Twin Peaks is supposed to be.
Well, if you were watching it on a week-to-week basis, or even if it's the first time you're watching it and you're binging it in a sort of way, it does feel disjointed, because you're like, well, this isn't like the old show. Where's the cherry pie and coffee? Where's the donuts? Where's this? But it's all there. And once you know where it's going, you're like, oh yeah, it is here.
Yep. It's been there all along.
It had to be a different.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the word here. It's like, it's exactly the same. It's like going and eating a glazed donut from a different donut shop than you normally go to. It's still a glazed donut, and at the end of the day, it has all the things you love about that glazed donut. But there's just something different about it from this place than your usual place that you go to. But it's all there.
Yeah, it is. No, it's all there. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, one of the things that's been interesting about this rewatch too is focusing on these, we remember the 17 and 18s, the episode 8, the 1 and 2, like there's certain things that like really stand out. And so watching some of these episodes that maybe we don't stick in our heads as much has been interesting to really catch things that I did. Like, I felt like I was catching a lot of things that I had either forgotten or didn't notice the first time in an episode, this episode specifically, but a number of these sort of what you might consider lesser episodes, even though that I think that's a bad way to say it, because I don't think they're lesser.
No, there's no lesser episodes. I think you're right on something there. It's like, you think about the iconic episodes, but yet some of my favorite moments from the series are not in those iconic episodes.
Right.
It's in the spaces in between. And that's the beauty of The Return, is that the more and more you watch it, you just really, the more and more Twin Peaks it is. You know what I mean? Like, the people were like, it just doesn't feel the same. But I'm like, the more and more you watch it, the more and more it does. I mean, it's not going to be the exact same thing, because it was 25 years later. The landscape of television is different. The landscape of cinema is different. David Lynch's headset, completely different space where he could really do what he wanted to do. And there were no constraints, no network constraints, no rating constraints. He could just be unleashed. And yet still, it is a wholly like Twin Peaks thing. Like I said, like everybody gets so mad, like it took so long to get Agent Cooper. But I'm like, when you watch Dougie, like you're seeing Agent Cooper the whole time. Like it absolutely is. He is.
He's in there.
If you look at his impact on every single person he comes into contact with, he is absolutely Dale Cooper. Like there's just
Mhm.
it's just he's always there, you know. I mean, he's Mr. Jackpots, damn it. Come on. Like
Right.
it's
But I mean, at the end of the day, for one thing, there's no way they could have done exactly what they did 25 years ago.
No.
And even if they tried, we wouldn't be talking about it like we're talking about this.
no,
because they were able to expand the universe and the show.
yes, the lore gets expanded tremendously. It really does.
But also do what Frost and Lynch probably wanted to do in 25 years ago, but now they get to do it uncompromised. And
Mhm.
but they had to like sum it up in a way because they didn't have the luxury of doing an extra 2 or 3 seasons of a show. It's like,
Yep.
what they're letting us bring this back. We have a certain amount of hours of television to do it. How are we going to return and then kind of wrap it all up?
Yeah.
Right.
No,
at the same
it to me it's like it's really like, again, I'm still like stunned that we got it. You know what I mean? Like that the return even exists is amazing. That it exists in the way that it does with 18 hours of uncut David Lynch. Like that's insane when you think about it. So it's but it's just one of those things, like revisiting it, you know, I probably, I don't know, almost like, you know, I kind of go through and rewatch, you know, Twin Peaks stuff, and it's just one of those things that the more and more I watch The Return, just the more and more I love it. And you know, and the same thing with the first 2 seasons. Like the more and more I watch it, the more I'm like, this is why it's my favorite show of all time. It's infinitely rewatchable. You always get something different out of it, and it's just great television, plain and simple. Like it's just great television.
Well,
And
yeah,
that's what this is here.
and there, you know, there's so much coming up in the
Yeah.
next few episodes. Like I know that, you know, 17 and 18 are, again, we have these like sort of iconic sort of, but you know, between 13 and 16 there is still so many great things
Oh yes,
to happen.
Yeah,
Like
there's
I'm
a
so
lot
excited.
happening.
This made me like, I've been resisting doing this because, like I said, I think for me, watching them in isolation has been a really interesting way to do this. But I was so tempted. I wanted to watch episode 13 when this one stopped, and I stopped myself from doing it because, like I said, I've been really appreciating not watching them all in one sort of big row. And but I am so eager to watch 13. So when are we going to talk about that one?
Well, how is MLK weekend for everybody? That's Sunday,
When is that?
the 18th.
it should be okay.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
Yeah. That
All
sounds
right.
great.
Well, let's shoot for the 18th for part 13 of The Return. Gentlemen, thank you again for
Always
Yes.
a pleasure, guys.
coming
As
on
always,
this
it's so
journey
great
with
to
me.
be, it's a new year and it's so
Yeah.
great to still be doing this and to have so much ahead for us on this project. I'm so excited about it. I was so looking forward to chatting with you gents again about this and being back into Twin Peaks again. So this was a great way to kick off 2026.
Heck yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. Yeah.
Almost,
Very excited.
And by God, in 2026, we will finish Twin Peaks.
We will.
hopefully
We
so,
will.
since we only have this left. And then
It'll be
we
interesting
can-
to see if we can finish all of David Lynch or if we might be still to have a few of his films left in 2027, which I suspect we might. But
It's possible.
It's
possible.
possible. It's possible. Life
yeah,
happens.
Yes.
But,
right,
Yes, it does.
very much so, which is great.
Yes, yes, it is. Well, guys, thank you for the
but-
time again, and we'll
Yeah.
talk soon about episode 13. So
yes.
Sounds great, guys.
Very
Happy New
soon.
Year.
I hope,
Happy New Year, gang.
I hope you guys had a wonderful holiday season.
we did. I did. It was fabulous.
I
It
did
really
too.
was.
It was good. All right. Well, I'll see you gentlemen in 2 weeks. You take
We'll
care of
see you in 2 weeks.
yourselves.
Great. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Night. Bye.